Hey guys, this is Kale the Quick here with a little bit of a longer episode of, I guess, a tactical impact report. I guess this is more of a strategic impact report this time, however. So, this is Supreme Commander, one of my favorite games here. It's a large strategy game, and so we warp in here with our commander. Let me pause this and chat about just how the game is. We've got a team on top, team 1, and I guess team 2. I'm the purple one, because purple's my fave. On the top there. And you start in, build factories, build units, collect the resources, green things, some of the rocks and other things. And yeah, build units, eliminate the enemy. And once you eliminate the commander there, they all of his units die. So let's get on with it. So this one, see, we all start off with a factory there. And so tactical impact report, or strategic impact report, whatever this show is, this is just me looking over my own gameplay, because I either did well or did really bad. Usually well, because making a whole video of the bad ones isn't too fun. Plus there'd be too many games. But whenever I do really well, I like to look over and see what I did well and see what I can do better. You can see there'll be a chat of the players up in the left-hand corner here. You'll actually see the red text. That's from inside the teams. So here I start with telling people, hey, I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not the best. Can you please advise me? Because there's a meta with every map, because this game is like 10 or 11 years old now. And people get really, really mad if you don't know the meta. And this is my first match on this game, even though I've been playing it since it launched in 2006. This is my first game on this map where I am against actual other people. I didn't have internet back in the day. And you'll see, so different units. Usually you'll be zoomed out, so you get to know the icons here. So I can tell by looking at this icon, this is an engineer down here. This is a lab light assault bot. Fast, low HP, but decent DPS. And a little scout. Now if I switch over to what I can actually see. So you see the team vision is all together. Now this blue circle here, I don't know if you can see that on the recording, that is actually a radar. So we'll be able to see that there is something there, but we won't necessarily know what it is. That's the benefit of a radar there. If I switch back to the observer position, we kind of get a God's eye view of everything. So here, starting in the beginning, everybody else is trying to expand their economy, and I'm trying to get better at micromanaging two different things at the same time. So I'm actually trying to expand at the same time. I'll actually fail at that later. I'll talk about that when that happens. But I have made a little raiding party. And the idea was, if I go back, you should be able to see and select and hold shift. Yeah, so I've given some orders for them to go down here so that I can kill any engineers he has to expand. And so that's what I was thinking at that moment there. Because it's very quick to make those units, and the map is almost large enough where that makes us unviable. You see, it looks like he's trying to go for a little bit of raiding as well. The yellow player, who's this really go, probably an AI. That was a joke there. It's the AI beat go. Okay, so this is his unit with the faction that he's selected. This also has a radar on it. So if I pause that really quick before it gets killed by that. Switch over there. You can see it has a radar as well. But got unlucky and was killed in one shot, and this stopped the tank. Now I also had my units go in a kind of similar fashion. You'll see this scout is much faster than my labs, so I had it follow them so that they'd stick together. And yeah, see, I told them that I would need help with being reminded what to do, and I comply. I'm trying to be a good team player. They told me to move over to this plateau and set up a base, take control of that region, take control of those resources. So you see down here, this is the benefit with having the radar with these guys, even though it doesn't add a lot of DPS, being able to tell. You can see these squares are buildings. This is a mass extractor. There's two resources in the game, mass and power. Mass is generally harder to come by, and something you more fight over while you build power generators. So he's building his factories there, which we haven't scouted yet. So they were just kind of radar pings, just the gray boxes. But we build power generators with mass, and then they just produce power forever. So you see, moving this, and I saw something on the radar there. If you have a radar ping that drops off of the radar, it doesn't actually stay on. Like you'll see later when I've seen buildings, and then I don't have line of sight on them anymore, they stay kind of on there. So you got a lot of pings. And see, this is why I knew I could come down here and get some kills, is because engineers, they're actually amphibious. They can go over water. And if you have something over water, the radar ping will be that little circle or half circle thing. So since I saw it on the water, that means it can't be the ACU, it's called. So the command unit. It's very big. Has about the attack power of 20 Tech 1 tanks. So these guys down here. And it has about the engineering power of 2 engineers. A little bit more than that. So you can see it has a larger radius for, sorry for the notification there. The dark yellow color here, that's its build radius for its building tools. And see, I'm doing pretty well at the rating here. My rating party has done far better than his, and it looks like that might be a second rating party. Let's go back to the God's Eye view. Yeah, that could be a second rating party. You see he's got his ACU up front. I've actually kept my ACU on the back, because it is a very bad habit of mine to do what my friends have called the pelvic thrust, which is when you just kind of go blindly forward with your commander. You see, this really isn't that. He's got support, he's got defenses and things set up. Now, when he was out here alone, without anything, that I would call that a pelvic thrust. Yep. Rating, taking out the mass extractors. And once you build one of these, they take power. See if I hover over it, you can see the bottom left. Give you 2 mass, and they cost 2 energy. So it's probably a pretty efficient way of that. So I can notice that this is going on down here, and so in seeing this from my perspective, let's see what I can see from Team 1 up here. Yeah, you haven't scouted a lot of the stuff down there, so we're not sure about what's going on there, but what I can see is that these are all these buildings here, and units are popping up out of them, so these are factories, I can tell that. And he has his factories as well, but I do want to be able to support my ally down here, so I have my engineers that were getting these rocks, reclaiming. I had them pop down a couple factories, because I want to have some amount of forces. My Tech 1 tanks for this faction, called the Aeon, actually they have the little circular engineers. You can see not all the engineers look like that. They have a little bit of a longer range, so you can see their range extends beyond their visual thing. Let's go over to this guy. And it's tough to tell, but yeah, their range is much shorter. If I go over here, tank, the range is 18. Go to kill quick myself. Range is 26, so that's a significant increase in range, but their hit points are lower. But they do have some mobility advantages too. And yeah, it looks like I pulled back my scouting team. I can't remember why I did that. Let's see if I can see. Yeah, there was an ACU down here. I killed my the scout, the radar. So now that I know the ACU's in the area, the labs outrun it. Oh, they got some veterancy. Units in this game by default can get up to 5 ranks of veterancy. If we hover over, and then down there, we'll see in the bottom left, there's 2 little kind of green icons next to the picture of the unit. Doesn't really help a whole lot for a lab. Higher tier units helps out more. And actually, you can tell the tier of a unit by the number of white pips underneath its little icon. So right here, we have Tech 1 tank and a Tech 2 tank. These guys are screwed. And these Tech 2 tanks, they're usually not best to go with. They don't have very good return on investment in terms of resources, but they do still have a longer range, so I'm trying to mix them in with my units. And since I know I have a range advantage, try to use micromanagement, or tactical stuff. Really, tactics is micro, and strategy is macro. I much prefer strategy, and a lot of the high-level play of these games really comes down to micro. Though I have been watching a video by Heaven. He's a caster and tutorial maker for this game. Well, he doesn't cast it anymore, and that was because he said that some of the latest updates made it tougher to have useful micro. And I'm all about that. I don't really care about micro. Micro is the sergeant's job. I want it to be the general. And to each their own. If he was enjoying the game and they changed it, that's bad. Ideally, like a game like this, it would be viable to do all kinds of things. Yeah, so he's leading with his commander. That's good. The commander can take a lot of damage. See, he's got 11,000. And the tank's at like 250, 150. So he's Aeon, the same faction as me. So he really doesn't, or I really don't have an advantage on there. Let's see what he can see. They have a radar? They do not. Yeah, so that's pretty bad on their part. Let's see if we go back to my team.
Commander
we have radar coverage of all of this. So this extra distance here, we're actually able to get use out of. See these Tick 2 tanks, they're actually about 4 times as durable, or more, about 10 times as durable, or 8, 9, something. They're much more durable. So we go with a combined approach there, and I've actually started to build these bubble shields. They'll take down damage. We're not able to get his commander. He wisens up and gets out of there as quickly as possible. Because the commander's also amphibious, but when they go into the water, they go under the water, so like walking on the bottom. So keeping your commander next to this water, that allows them to retreat. And there are ways to damage them underwater, but they take a while. So there are various amphibious units. Each of these factions, there are 4 factions in the game, have their own benefits. These ones are kind of mobile mortar, level 1, tier 1 artillery. You can tell by the just the black dot in the middle of their icon. And they can actually go across water. They're pretty good. That gives them some good viability. And actually my tanks, all this stuff here that's covered, it can go over the water, and that'll actually come into play later. You'll notice that yellow came across the channel there, and I have the ability to just cross the channel back. So I'm coming in. I have a lot of these Tech 1 tanks. They are very cost efficient, and if you're able to defend them, they're cost efficient in terms of damage they can output. So if you're able to defend them with these Tech 2 mobile shield generators, which it looks like I haven't noticed that being shelled there, they can actually contribute quite a bit. And again, that the person I mentioned earlier, Heaven, he has videos explaining all this. Probably a little bit outdated. This is kind of fan maintained now with patches, updates for balance, and all kinds of other stuff. So we're about 11 minutes in, and I've messed up my economy, so I believe this is going to stall out a little bit, so I'm going to look away. Ideally, what you want to do is you want to have Tech 2, you can upgrade these mass extractors, Tech 1, 2, and 3. You would want to have more Tech 2. See, I've forgotten about this one here, which I'm upgrading now. Yeah, a little bit behind there, and I'm going to get more behind in that because, again, I focused a little too much, or maybe not too much. I mean, I'm doing good work up here with my primary land force, but I should have been able to boost my economy faster. Let's actually see where I am. So this is usually how you judge how well someone is doing, is their total incomes of various types. We got 38 mass income, and you see best right here is Venera, who's doing pretty well. He's expanded pretty thoroughly, aggressively. So he's got a bunch of forward factories, these things, power generators. And that was actually a problem of mine. I forgot to build more power generators. There's this thing, which is a special zone. You can build this power generator on, and he's starving for E energy as well. Yeah, so that was some problems there. The pathfinding and unit movement in this game, it's a little bit sluggish compared to some other stuff. Like if you ever played Age of Empires, that one's pretty snappy. For Age of Empires 2, that's the one that I know about. I've been watching a lot of tutorials for that recently, like analysis of game stuff or mechanics. Is that a pelvic thrust dude? Now he's got some combat upgrades, so it's not. I mean, it's all good. This guy is clear. He knows what he's doing. Like I said, he's a 1300 ranked player. After these numbers, our next door names up here. That's our ranking. You see, mine is 800. Killed it quick. Either team is a 1300, and a couple other people. See, missed. He's only 200. Wow. And Van Haar, blue. He's going to be doing well. See, he's building up defenses since we pushed back. I think that's his name. We pushed back Ez from his expansion here. He was trying to build a base, and Red and I pushed him out of there, retreated. Now they're reinforcing this position. Let's see on the west side. Yellow's actually pushed through pretty well. Probably should have kept his units moving. I don't know if he knew. Well, obviously you can see it now. Yeah, so I guess he didn't know there was a commander there. Well, he was being engaged before, so he should have known he was in the area. But this was a clear opening. They have radar coverage here. So if he had kept his units moving over here, that would have kept him out of line of sight of the commander longer, and he would have been able to use this artillery to shell down this cliff here. And hit those resources, hit that stuff, which would have been good for them. Do they still not have adequate radar? Yeah, they have a radar over here. But they're not able to see my force right here. That's actually quite surprising. I generally assume everyone playing against me is better than me. Yeah, they have some anti-air. It looks like they're doing pretty well, actually. So these are gunships. The triangles are usually aircraft. Trapezoids are gunships of the sort. And that was actually pretty good. Where did that anti-air come from? Yeah, it's got some anti-air over here. The upwards chevron is anti-air. So, yeah, that was close. He could have easily died there if he was less prepared. And yellow could have gotten more damage in, especially on gray. Gray, of course, being the low strength player here. Honestly, he looks like he's doing okay. It's 15 minutes in and he hasn't ringed his mass extractors. This is my favorite part of the game, right here, the air transport. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I want to talk about ringing really quick. Yeah, that's upgrade. So your mass extractors, they generate. There's ways to store mass. So you have a maximum amount of mass that you can store, which if you have your resource things, I'll show you up there. See, everybody's usually maxed out on power. It's tough to keep that going there. Mass is what goes up and down. And when we have a mass extractor, see this one's 9 for 9. This one's 6 and 9. When you have a mass extractor, and you put these storage units around it, it actually makes it more efficient. You can see there's a little bit of a line, let you know it's working. This line also means the power is making this building draw less power. So that's kind of interesting mechanic here. I wish that there was more stuff like that in-game. So I brought up some mobile missile launchers, and moved my forces just a little bit too far forward there. Mobile missile launchers can outrange these Tech 2 gun turrets, point defenses, just a little bit. You see that's my missile launchers right there at their maximum range, just a tiny little bit. And they have not built enough anti-missile stuff. Yeah. There we go. So I took one out. That's good. So I just have forces here waiting. And ideally this is bad. So I'm going to point something out again before I talk about the air transport. I have moved my units as if they were normal ground units. And this isn't something I just accidentally did because I forgot I had the capability. That's definitely not what happened. But yeah, so I've moved them as if they were normal ground units. And so this has... I like to think that they forgot that I can just go across the channel, because you'll see the defenses. Yeah, see, this is a ping. They pinged me here. So they just noticed. They focused their defenses on this channel, where things would need to cross. So there was actually not a lot of defenses down here when I get around. But as was able to tech up, and he now has tech 3 units, this robot here with a shield. Very powerful, very much able to kind of carve through my lower tier units here. I don't even think I can outrange them. I've also built some bombers, and I'm using them to kind of take care of outlying stuff. And I see an opening here, so as I got confused. I thought blue was up here earlier. I forgot that he was kind of the tougher cookie here, but I do see an opening here. There's no air defenses, so I send my bombers in to try to take out this energy storage. Now, energy storage has this ability. You can see I'm hovering over it, bottom left corner. It says volatile. That means if you blow one up, it will do damage in an AoE, which usually causes a bunch of other stuff to blow up. Nice. Again, fun little mechanics there. So, these air transports, they're my favorite thing in the game. So, right now, these guys, I'm not actually manually loading them up. I've built them, and you can tell them to go assist a factory. See if I hold shift. Yeah, so they are, you order them onto the factory, and then anything that pops out of the factory, it takes them to the waypoint itself and then drops them off. And they'll just continue doing that forever. See, I'm pulling back my forces there. He has a shield and some defenses. And these guys, again, pretty potent these guys are. You need to make sure you don't go lose your power, otherwise their shields will drop. But yeah, so yellow's doing pretty good work on the other side here. And you'll see, again, I've forgotten my economy. I have these Tech 2. So Tech 2 is, there's some math behind the scenes, and that's when you want to ring them. It's most cost efficient. And I have an engineer here, and I haven't done that. I haven't even set that up. It's like idle. And I do have a decent economy. 61 now. Yeah. So your commander, you can have a wide variety of, not a wide variety, but a little bit of a variety of upgrades. So I've parked them on the water there, and that was actually to try and get them out of the range of the Harbingers, these guys. Obviously, he was upgrading the little red. You can barely see it. Red cross means that they won't, or that he's paused, so he's not draining any resources. Because this game, you don't pay up front for stuff you buy. You pay as things are built. Alright, so I'm actually really proud about this. So I've noticed that there's a break in their defenses here. Let's see what I can actually see. So I've assumed that there's a break in their defenses here. It's not fully scouted. So recently I've reminded them, and I'm constantly reminding them, that I can cross this water. So I'm actually building up a bunch of cheap crap to just mass here, in the hopes that either they will build defenses here, which will be wasted, because either we're going to come through here, or we're going to come through and go around it. Or I'll be able to get through and get all of these engineers, just because of the way that they're kind of organized. And I've also scouted them with a bomber. I can kind of tell that's what they are. You see, now I have teched up as well, and I'm building some Harbingers of my own. And I believe I have them coming from a different factory. Yeah, so they're working on their own. You can also have factories assist other factories, and then they'll build whatever the other factory is doing. So this is a problem right here. So there are generally 3 tech levels. You see there's 3 pips under that guy. But then there's experimentals after that, which are really big, really cool, and really devastating. So it's very, very important that we cover this. I have these mobile shields, so I try to get them over here in the way to help cover this commander as he gets to the water, gets to safety. This does have torpedoes, so this guy under water isn't completely safe. But the main source of damage is that big old laser. I believe it's like 5,000 DPS on that laser. So I'm just throwing everything I can at it, trying to hurt it. It's got a little bit of everything. I use this to pop out my my thing. So right here, it's this is all crap. Like, this is trash. So let me switch over here. I have some of these Tech 2 tanks, some Tech 1 tanks, and then mostly just scouts. So scouts are insanely cheap, but their radar pips still look like radar pips. So when this came across, it looked like a far more formidable force. So you see there's a bunch of Tech 2 bots and a bunch of other stuff, and that actually forced him to deploy these forces back here to this opening there, because it looked like that could have come through and been quite devastating. So that relieved pressure on my allies up here a little bit. I don't know how much that helped, but I like to think that if not decisive, it was an asset. And back to observer. No, so we haven't killed the experimental yet. And so this one, the Monkey Lord, it's pretty fast on its feet. Why are you getting out of the water, dude? Hide. Jesus, I didn't know it was that desperate for him. But yeah, it has anti-air, but it's not the best. Yeah, and they're pushing up here. They're trying to exploit that. Not too good. I don't remember what I do to counteract that. Is my economy screwing up? No, I'm okay. I'm actually building not at capacity. Yeah, if this gets to the maximum and you don't have anywhere to store it and your allies can't take it, then that's just wasted. So it's in your best interest to always have the capacity to build up. So we have our gunships. And these gunships are decent. But they're going to take out that monkey lord. Unfortunately, when it dies, it will be over here. You see there's this wreckage over here, and you can actually reclaim mass from wrecks and other things. You'll see this one's worth, though, 14,580 mass. And Harbingers, something really cool they can do is they can reclaim stuff very slowly, but they still can, at a rate of 5, so about equal to a Tech 1 engineer. But where fights have gone down, it's a very good place. So Harbingers are actually very useful to reclaim area, because they can also get more mass, which, if you have the build capacity, engineers and the like, you can put back in. So I've actually moved my my Harbinger production, my drop-off zone, rally point, that's the word, back a little bit. So it's over here, because they're able to come through. And I know we have some defenses here, so I'm going to let them kind of go defense in depth, force them to pull forward. I should have moved this rally point from this factory over here. So you see I'm building up some factories. I believe I'm making some more chariots, little transports. Yeah, this engagement didn't go well for yellow. So it's very common right now to mass aircraft. And I know that, and I had built some mobile anti-aircraft stuff. So this Tech 1 anti-aircraft stuff, that's just like a basic gun. It hits something and does damage. The Tech 2 anti-aircraft technologies, there's a building you can build, and then also a mobile unit. They actually do area of effect damage, so they do a little bit better against massed things like this. This is actually a decent force of gunships. I would have returned them and repaired them, honestly. There's an automated way to do that with aircraft that I don't think shows up in this game. But again, a little bit of opening here, not a lot of any air cover. This could be pretty good. Yeah, so here's this stuff. It explodes. It does area of effect damage. So very good. You can kind of micro around it by spreading things around, but generally you want to keep that firepower focused together. And they've been deployed without any sort of anti-air coverage. They're not able to shoot aircraft, so they're going to get shredded up now. Not a complete waste of mass. They're able to take out a factory, some other stuff. But yeah. So I have some Harbingers now. They can't go across the water, but I do notice that they only have one cannon down here, so I'm going to try to skirt across that as quickly as possible. You'll see it looks like they hit the ground here, because there's a little bit of a lip, if I can. A little bit of a lip there. And since their beams shoot perfectly straight, kind of avoid a little bit of that damage. So I'm able to get by, but I don't have any aircraft coverage, so I'm going to get shredded up by these gunships. Even though they're only Tech 2 and these are Tech 3, the disparity between either isn't too much. And these actually do a lot of damage, so you're able to hurt that ECU quite a bit right there. I don't have the numbers to actually go through and fully damage it, so honestly, since the ACU regenerates, he gets a 86 HP a second. Since I'm not able to kill him, that was kind of wasted. What I should have done is I should have come forward and killed these, since that would have been build capacity that would have been ruined for him. Maybe reclaim some of this and deny the enemy. I love deny the enemy. There's Tech 3, anti-air. See, this guy's pretty good. He's focusing on building up his stuff. Yeah, making a reactor. Have I built a reactor yet? No, I've stalled my power. And I'm probably going to see a text message over here. Hey, does anybody have power? Because I am in Tech 3 now, and I am still almost entirely on Tech 1 power. I have one Tech 2 power generator, and that generates 500 power by default, and it's getting a little bit of a bonus because I built the energy storage right next to it. So these are our advanced air transports that I'll be using. They can carry more units. That's all really. They have anti-air of their own, but it's useless. Kind of annoying. So I've actually moved the drop-off for this factory, for this bunch of factory, just right across the way there. So big opening left. No one's gone to it, and I should have changed the build order. So when you go to a factory, you can queue up a thing, and you can set it to repeat indefinitely, like a playlist, kind of. So I'm building some of those basic tanks, shield generators, and then that arty. I have this other tank available called the Obsidian. It takes longer to build and more mass, but it's generally a better tank. Shorter range though, and it's much, much slower. And I want to be able to micro move the units back. I don't actually know if my units are faster in general, like if that really helps, because he's using these guys, which are pretty quick, pretty good. And these guys are made shredded. They don't have any defenses against that. But I have, even though these guys are going to die, this is still threat that is being projected against the front here. So now, hopefully, this will cause them to invest more in defending in this direction. And you see he's building the anti-missile systems there, which is good, because now, when I actually come from another direction, there will be less defenses from somewhere else I attack. Yeah, I need power. They have bug. How did he see that? This is a bug. This is another experimental unit from the same faction as the last one. This one's called the Soul Ripper. It's a very slow gunship type thing. Well, it's not slow. It's actually pretty fast. Doing air, flying bug. So this is going to be potentially devastating for us now. Like, let's see what they can see. Right. So do they know where any of our commanders are? Thank God. So we had a commander, and remember, once the commander goes, he actually explodes like a nice little nuke. Fuck with them. So I deploy 10 of these guys. It takes a while for their shield to turn on, which is actually pretty good. But I'm going straight after their power. So he's the one that's been building the experimentals. That forces him to bring the bug back. I actually didn't think about that at the time. I was planning this far before I knew they had a bug. But I had to do something. And honestly, if I had gone a little bit faster and had some air coverage, I probably could have killed this commander right here. But you see, I'm able to kill a lot of his economic capacity here, and then this bug comes in and starts shredding people. Good. Yeah, there's so yeah, that was a very successful drop there. You don't often see people use air transports in the ways that I've been using. And I think that's just because air transports are very fragile, so if you're much better with your aircraft management, you're really easily able to take them down. It's very infrequently I see them used like this. Yeah, so now I'm assuming they're going to build some more defenses here. So again, I'm massing at the front, because my ally can mass stuff at the front as well, so easily. So that has given us a little bit of time, actually, to build up more aircraft. So this is the Tier 3 anti-air ASFs, Air Superiority Fighters. They're generally all the same across the factions. Not a lot of factional differences there. But they're fast, they do a lot of damage, and they attack in mass. So should they get a good opportunity to go at that gunship, which is for some reason just sitting there, even though it totally could go up and wreak havoc, I believe that's because they don't know if it is safe to progress, or he was just busy because I blew up his base. Yeah, but experimentals really, they're expensive. You want to make sure that they're deployed in a situation that is viable for them. Like if this guy was flying into something with just a bunch of anti-aircraft guns like these, it would just die. And air-based experimentals are usually a bit more fragile. Like they still have good damage output, but they are very susceptible to that right there. So that's going to come. You'll see he's keeping his aircraft kind of nearby, and it's also being part of a combined arms attack. And I actually micro down the dudes there. See, they fire at one at a time, trying to reduce his total damage output pool. You can see he is also targeting one at a time, it seems. Yeah, not good. I'm not good enough to manage overkill. But you can see this thing's pretty good now. Yeah, it looks like he's gotten distracted taking out other aircraft. But it looks like it worked out for him. So we were able to get air superiority, it looks like. And also force him to retreat with that gunship, which did get a level in veterancy. That gives him more HP and HP regen. There are a bunch of mods. This game has a million mods. I really recommend checking out. You can get it on Steam, and then look up Forged Alliance Forever. It's a completely fan-made recreation. So we got some artillery. I do love artillery. This is the Tier 3 artillery. Much longer range than the Tech 1 we were going out earlier. There you go. And then this is actually a missile launcher. Yeah, you have to pay to build these missiles, but they have a very long range and do a lot of damage. But they're also kind of easily taken down by these anti-missile systems. But yeah, it's like we're massing, and I start microing or redeploying my units, trying to use more military-ish words. Yeah, so I redeployed some units down here. The Tech 2 artillery is a missile launcher, so it actually also trips these missile defenses. You can kind of help jam them if you use tactical missiles. That's not what I'm using, and oh, it looks like this guy's gonna move. So if you do this, this would have been called a TAC snipe, tactical missile snipe, and that would have killed them, 100%. But since he was under threat from a different force, that forced him to be tipped off, and he moved. And so now this was a shit ton of mass that was wasted on missiles. So, again, moving my units around. I believe I can see a little bit on radar. Yeah, just a little bit on radar. So I can tell he hasn't really rebuilt this area here. And honestly, if I had paid attention to his ranking, I would have assumed that maybe he wouldn't be the best at that. Yeah, so good. They have radar coverage now. And I'm asking if anyone is making an experimental, to which I believe someone will respond by me. Yeah, starting at that very moment, because we had nothing. Experimental versus experimental is pretty good. I thought we killed this. I thought it was still up. So this is, you don't see this a lot. Usually they will control K, which causes a unit to self-destruct, and then you harvest the mass because it's faster to build a new one. So I'm actually upgraded my air factory, and I am building these things called Mercies. So if I switch over there, the Mercies are a kamikaze style unit, and that's what my faction gets instead of a bomber. And it does 2,400 damage if you can get it to it. You see it only has 10 health. Other Tech 2 tier things of like 800. But if you manage to hit stuff with it, it does a lot of damage. I think they're spendy. I don't know. They always feel spendy. That might be just because whenever I need them, I want them right now. So you throw a lot of stuff at them. I totally didn't notice this. He redeployed his forces up to the north. I don't think I had what I needed to exploit that, but that is good. So that's where that experimental is going to go down. And this, hopefully, should be able to, yeah. This faction is a Tech 3 point defense. That's not usual, but quite good at taking down these Tech 3 attack units. I always try to meet them with spam, like how I did earlier with the very cheap scout unit. Because again, radar pings look the same. Here I'm going. So I got this, and we're going to go just inside the range of these things. And again, they're AoE, so they all die. And I thought it was going to be cool. I was going to do damage, maybe finish them off with these units. Doesn't work. I pull them back. That was a failed operation there, because I didn't adequately check the range. And I really should have done that ahead of time. I did scout him out earlier just so I know where he was. My commander. Yeah, so you just select your own. Yeah, so I should have aired on the bottom there. But you see they were still covered. Bottom, so I should have come inside. They still would have been able to see that on the radar, but hopefully they would not have been able to react in time. Looks like their air force is a little bit depleted at the moment. So now I'm really trying to ramp up my Harbinger production. I'm trying to stay away from experimental stuff. I don't remember why, but I didn't want to start building an experimental. So I thought probably because all of my build capacity is focused here in the rear, and I'm moving it forward with the air transports. How the hell are you over here? What the hell, dude? Yeah, so I'm building some more mercies. I'm usually something like a snipe attempt like this. Snipe is when you try to go after a commander. When you're discovered, you try not to do it again. So this guy's shooting missiles again, but he is prepared with a shit ton of anti-missile defenses. Yeah. So usually a snipe attempt, you'll build defenses for it after you've discovered it's going to happen or after it's been tried. So I noticed this commander coming by, so I'm going to try to have him... There it is. Can he see that? They can't. Oh my god. Yeah, so he gets cold feet, apparently. Which sucks, because I totally could have taken him out. So I try to go south and take him out more. So yeah, now that's on radar. I should have just recoiled right there, but... Again, all fucked up. And at this time, I noticed that there's just no defenses down here. I mean, he just started a defense, the brick. That's his Tech 3 units. Pretty good. But I feel safe. I feel comfortable up here, and I want to put in threat. I want to threaten the enemy. I don't want them to have time to sit back and relax. Otherwise, stuff like this will happen. A Tech 3 artillery piece. Let's switch over to Sean. Yeah, so that looks like the range wouldn't be able to reach my base, except for that's the minimum range. That's the maximum range. So it'd be able to hit everything on the map except for his allies. That's good. And I have a lot of stuff that can just walk across the water, so I'm just committing with it all.
Launch detected.
So, yeah, I don't think they have strategic missile defenses. They're going to start building them now, though. You can see he's moving his commander because he doesn't have any defenses. And I'm trying to get some threat, take out their defenses here. You see I have some more mercies lined up as well to exploit any openings. And they're actually useful for taking down some experimental units as well. They do so much damage. So that's why I keep building them. Even though, like I said, when you do a type of snipe, usually there will be defenses against it, so it's not really viable to continue investing resources into that type of thing. But I'm giving myself that utility in my repertoire, in my armory. And see, that nuke took out his base. That wasn't actually very good. Probably would have been better around here or in the front, so we could have broken through. Especially because he didn't have a lot of stuff back here. So his base had already been previously destroyed by me. So that was a very expensive weapon for something that had been done already. And but yeah, could have gone somewhere else. But I don't know, maybe whoever shot that had some knowledge that I'm unaware of. Oh, that's a new guy. Newish. Yeah, so I'm still using Tech 2 missiles. Probably should have just started building these guys, Serenities. So normally, no, actually I'm pretty well against it. Normally the Tech 3 mobile artillery needs to kind of stop and then open up and like deploy. But ours, the Aeon faction, this guy's the same faction as me, doesn't need to do that. They can fire on the move. They also do the most damage per shot, but they takes 20 seconds for them to reload, like an actual artillery piece. So I believe I'm trying to commit. Going in here. So yeah, this has been a really good fight. You see we have this Fat Boy. This is an experimental unit from this faction, the Yuya. It's a factory. Nobody ever uses that functionality. It has a long distance, very big AoE spread. This room right here. So all the way out to here, it can shoot. Very good at taking down a lot of defenses here. And I didn't notice that coming up to the front. I probably would have waited. The Fat Boy is also amphibious, so honestly, if it just crossed right here, there is nothing that can contest it, and it would have been able to just take everything out. And then that would have forced them to push their units over here, which would open and make an opening for everybody else to come through over here. There are quite a few forces. He has some amphibious units here that would have been able to get across the channel in a different way. You see I'm moving forward to put some threat on him as well. Just trying to stay in the water, though. These are amphibious, but I believe they go under the water, which means they would not be able to attack them. We've got some mercies as well. Let's see what else is going on. What are you doing, Yellow? What can you guys see? Yeah, so they can see I'm massing something here, but they're landed, and they haven't been scouted, so you can't tell that they are aircraft. They look like they just might be something else. Unless you pay attention, that type of stuff. Alright. Well, these guys are just completely dead. But luckily, that means...
Strategic launch detected.
Again, dude? Well, they don't have any defenses, so quite good. And so this is where everything is going to change. The Fire Nation is attacking right now. You see, he's moving, because you just always move. And we have a fat boy on the front, but that hasn't broken them completely. And I'm coming in with my mercies right here. And he has noticed that. And is trying to get the hell out of there. A nuke.
Commander under attack.
First commander kill is mine. And this just completely rolls everything here. I feel like they could have come back from this, especially if they had expanded their production over on this side. Oh, okay, it's not. Full share is on. So when you die, your units are actually sent over to another unit, or another player as well. Is trying to get the hell out of there. And yeah, Yellow just control K to everything. What? But yeah, so that was my most recent game of Supreme Commander Forged Alliance, and I feel really good about it. I don't try, but I kind of avoid playing the ranked games, or the games that are PvP on new maps that are open like this. They have a different type of map that's very walled in, and there's kind of just one channel where you can fight back and forth. And I play those kind of like a comfort zone. I'm always scared to branch out and learn new things. It's because I've been playing this game for 10 years. Like, the way I play against AI, the simple kind of tower defense way of playing, is just what I know, and that's like my comfort zone. But I'm trying to get better. I want to be able to manage and think about multiple things at the same time. And you see there wasn't a lot of communication between the teammates there, so it's mostly just anticipating what your team will do and acting in a way that will be complementary to that as well. Because these are just kind of random people from around the world that I'm playing with. But yeah, so let's talk about a little bit of an after action review, I guess. I mean, this video is going to be super long. Yeah. So I needed to manage my economy better. So I eventually did build a Tech 3 power generator, and I upgraded these factories, these Ford factories as well. But still haven't ringed these guys. So that is, I could have been generating some more mass there. And so the procedure you want for those is you want to build a Tech 1 mass extractor. You never want to start off at a higher level, because you build a Tech 1 and it generates resources for you even when you're upgrading it further. So build Tech 1, upgrade to Tech 2, put a ring around it, and then you want to upgrade it to Tech 3. That is the most efficient way to do it, and you never want to step to the next level until everything else has been completed. So I had a Tech 3 mass extractor here, and I really should have ringed these to get more resources first. And I even had engineers there that were just sitting there doing nothing. So that was bad. I should have done that better. I do like my maneuvering at the beginning here, where I see red as kind of amassing here, and that there's an enemy force around here, this area, and I'm able to get a force together in time to help his assault. I believe he would have been successful on his own, but it definitely helped, because even if I wasn't the decisive factor there, it probably allowed us to push forward a little bit further, because he would have lost fewer units because of my support, that type of thing. He had a better unit composition, I believe. I just had the tanks. I believe he had some artillery as well, which is generally better for taking down buildings and higher hit point stuff. My rating in the beginning was really good. I don't think they noticed me for quite some time. I was able to kill, I think, 4 or 5 engineers, which in the beginning of the game, that is quite significant. I don't think that is significant enough to the point where it allowed us to be victorious, but I do believe it definitely helped. That allowed us to kind of control this area here. Because you'll notice up here, we have our side completely developed. Like there are factories here, defenses. Probably didn't need those. That's not a good spot for those, bro. Because there's a cliff right there. So if you put them over here, they'll be able to kind of cover the same area. Okay. Oh, but yeah, so this is all completely developed over there. And I stalled that over here, which let us feel a bit more safe right here that nothing was going to come up from that side. Which they could have built amphibious units and come across there, but that ended up not happening. And we also had very good radar coverage and scouting the entire game, so props to my teammates for that, because I didn't build a single radar. I had my little scouts in the beginning with their radars, but I didn't scout. I think once I scouted because we had radar coverage, and I wanted to see what the buildings were, and make sure I knew where the commanders were when I was doing the Mercy Snipe, the little kamikaze plane. Yeah, I think I really should have not started building an experimental on the front. That's a dangerous place to build it. You want to build it in the back. You usually move it up front. But I can remember that when I was playing this, one of the reasons I didn't build an experimental is because I thought that was dumb, I guess. I mean, because now that I'm looking back at it, that was a bad decision on my part. I should have just started building one with all these things sitting around doing nothing, and then had it walk up front. And in my mind, during the game, I wanted to build it up front, which I suppose I could have built it around here. That would have been reasonably safe, but that area was under threat. Maybe back here, kind of covered from direct fire by this cliff. But yeah, building your experimental up front, that's a bit more risky, so I really should have, well, boosted my economy, and with that boosted economy, put that into an experimental to come up front. Because the experimental that I have is just a giant walking robot with a laser face. It just shoots a beam at you. It's very powerful, a lot of hit points, and with the amount of harbingers and other units I had, I would have been able to support that. It can also just walk across the channel there. So that would have been really good, especially if I built it here and then come down around there. That would have been the decisive victory right there. So now that I kind of have the whole picture and I've rewatched the whole thing, when I finished this, I felt like I had the decisive edge here. I totally forgot about this other nuke going off. Didn't notice the Fat Boy until afterwards, but that Mercy Snipe on that guy right there, that would have been the decisive factor. So you notice that Blue, his base was not here, but this was his base, and his defenses were kind of most of what was covering this avenue here. So even without the Fat Boy, with all of this stuff, and well, my units, which died because I kept sending it forward, which I think was the right decision. Again, we want to keep the threat on the enemy. If this had not been a full share game, which is usually the default, then when he died, all of his defenses would have been destroyed as well. And I thought that's how it was. I forgot to check the settings, I guess, before I played. But when he died, instead, everything that was his got sent over. And he was walking forward there, and he walked forward just a little bit too far out of his anti-aircraft coverage. And I had Mercies standing by, ready to exploit a mistake like that. So that's what you want to be able to do. You want to have things standing by for mistakes your enemy makes. Though, of course, you can't invest too many resources into something like that, lest they die. Like you see that my first 2 Mercy swarms going there, were just shot down like incredibly easily. They have so few hit points. But yeah, overall, generally, a very good game. I'm very proud of what I was able to do there. So yeah, that was the strategic impact report, I guess. Yeah, so this is just a review to help myself do better. If you like this, game was called Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. You can buy it on Steam still. And once you get that, you'll want to do a web search for Forged Alliance Forever. If I remember, I'll put a link down below. But it's very fun. I've been playing this game for a long time. It's been criticized for being a send icons across the screen as opposed to like cool robots and tanks and stuff. But I don't care. I want to be a general, so this is the game I play. Thank you for watching. I'm Gil the Quick. Don't die.